accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure.
This may be the last time we see our legend, the greatest fighter of this generation. I told y'all back then that Bud would beat Floyd Mayweather. Y'all didn't believe me.
Do it. But what I'm saying is, if you have a victory over this man now, just does it... For what? Terence Crawford, we know what you are.
Boxing insiders now openly call Terence Crawford the GOAT after his historic victory over Canelo Alvarez. His ability to climb weight divisions and still dominate is a rare greatness that puts him in a category of his own. Robert Garcia emphasized this by saying Crawford accomplished more than Floyd Mayweather in this regard. He highlighted how Crawford won 9 to 10 rounds with authority, showcasing a hunger Canelo simply could not match. Garcia underlined that Mayweather, for all his brilliance, never dared such a challenge. That makes Crawford's triumph not just another win, but a groundbreaking achievement that cements his place in boxing history.
Has already accomplished too much, has already done too much, and he wasn't, I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three division undisputed. He wanted to go up. He wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money that he's not hungry anymore.
You think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing. If Canelo doesn't have any changes, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes.
Greg Hackett fiercely rejected the idea that Crawford still needs another big fight to validate his greatness. When Turkey Elshik suggested David Benavidez as a future opponent, Hackett pushed back hard. He reminded everyone that Crawford's leap to challenge and convincingly beat Canelo Alvarez was already something no one believed possible. In Hackett's view, this was not just another victory. It was the career-defining moment that stamped Crawford's name among the immortals of boxing. The fact that he jumped from welterweight to super middleweight and dismantled one of the ERA's most feared champions makes the case undeniable. Sometimes one fight tells the whole story, and Crawford's win over Canelo is exactly that kind of legacy moment.
The Evel Knievel effect, like, all right, you jumped over 3 buses. Let's say if you could do 10 buses. You know what I'm saying? He trying to test his limits, and they think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then, I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in at 175. And, you know, I believe Benavidez has some tough tasks in front of him that he want to conquer before even talking like that. I don't even think he want to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was the man at 68. He was at 68. I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud cared about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. So Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm. You know what I mean?
I understand that Turkey likes to make these big grand events, but there's a boxing aspect to this shit too. Like, some stuff gotta make boxing sense. Bringing a dude down that's been comfortable at 75, bringing him back down to 68, and then having him fight a dude that just jumped 3 weight classes in 2 fights that started his career off at 35.
Right.
Like, no, bro. No.
Yeah, I don't want to see that fight. There's no point. There's no point. Like I said, Bud need to just go get a line of suits. You know what I'm saying? Get ready to just start talking about this shit.
What kind of suit?
I don't know. I don't know what's the best suits right now.
Showbiz, the adult called Crawford's accomplishment one of the most remarkable single-fight achievements in modern boxing. He praised the way Crawford patiently climbed through divisions, from welterweight to middleweight and finally to super middleweight, preparing at every stage for this ultimate test. According to him, the victory wasn't luck or surprise, but the culmination of a master plan executed with flawless precision. He said it looked as if the fight had been written in stone. Crawford was sharper, smarter, and more prepared than ever. For Showbiz, Crawford no longer needs to prove anything. This was the fight of fights, the moment that defines his greatness. The boxing world, he argued, can close the debate here. Crawford has already shown everything required to sit atop the sport.
Thoroughly just knew there was no way Terence Bud Crawford beat Saul Canelo Alvarez at 168. Canelo Alvarez was the super middleweight undisputed champion and younger. Terence Crawford was 26 at lightweight. Canelo Alvarez at 26, what was he, a middleweight? Terence Bud Crawford just grew to 154 at 36 years old. Canelo hasn't been able to make 154 since he was a baby. Terence Bud Crawford jumped up from welterweight to super middleweight to beat one of the greatest fighters of all time, to become 3-time undisputed in 3 different weight classes. Enough said.
Enough said.
It shed light on his victory against Errol the Truth Spence. That is for damn sure. Just the way he dominated him. Errol Spence was in there like, what the? If Canelo is saying there wasn't shit I can do in there, Errol Spence had to have been in there like, holy shit. It brings light to his resume. Everybody ducked him. We kind of knew that Bob Arum had Manny Pacquiao avoid Terence Crawford. I can't say Manny Pacquiao avoided Terence Crawford, but Bob Arum definitely did. PBC, welterweights in the PBC all avoided him. I am here to give credit to Terence Crawford for being one of the most ducked fighters in history. So you cannot any longer blame his resume, his greatness, and look at his resume when we all know, genuinely, we have to be genuine, that he is one of the most ducked fighters of all time, like Bob Foster, like Black Murderers Row, Charlie Burley and Eddie Booker and all those guys. Listen, Terence Crawford by himself is Black Murderers Row of this era. Now, do I need Terence Bud Crawford to continue fighting? Hell no. For what? If you beat Terence Crawford now, what you want him to do? Strip down to 160, lose that muscle mass he has, and be a little bit. We saw that with Roy Jones Jr., but he can do it. He's the everything man. He can do it. But what I'm saying is, if you have a victory over this man now, just does it. What for what?
Tim Bradley, a longtime believer in Crawford's supremacy, felt vindicated by the outcome. He reminded fans that he had always labeled Crawford the baddest man on earth, and this fight proved him right in spectacular fashion. Many doubters believed Crawford was too small to handle Canelo's size and strength. Yet Crawford didn't just handle it, he dominated, making the fight look effortless, almost like a sparring session. Bradley pointed out that performances like this elevate Crawford beyond most champions and place him in direct comparison with Mayweather, perhaps even above. For Bradley, the Canelo win isn't just about being pound for pound number one. It's about redefining what it means to be the greatest fighter of all time.
Dare you? Terence Bud Crawford, the baddest man on the planet. Y'all saying, no, he too small, Tim. He too small. Man, that was easy. That was easy. That was more easy than I thought. Terence said he was gonna have him crying, and he had him crying when they was walking out. Oh, they was crying. Oh yeah, they were damn crying. They was upset, head was down. They couldn't believe what they just witnessed. Oh yeah, boxing performance. I told y'all this was gonna be one of the greatest boxing performances of all times. I told y'all. Y'all didn't believe me. Oh, Tim, you over here. You riding Crawford. You riding him like he God. You riding him like he invincible. All this stuff. You don't see that greatness now? You don't see that greatness. Yeah. Hey, go ahead and hop on the train. It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep. Y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it. That's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Luke Thomas described Crawford as a boxing genius who made a legendary champion look ordinary. Canelo Alvarez, who had dominated countless challengers and been compared to all-time greats, was reduced to a shadow of himself under Crawford's control. Thomas compared it to Crawford's earlier domination of Ricky Burns, only this time on a much bigger and more historic stage. He emphasized that Crawford's brilliance lay not only in winning, but in anticipating every move, timing his punches with surgical accuracy, and neutralizing Canelo's strengths. What unfolded was a tactical masterclass that stunned analysts with how effortless it looked. For Thomas, the fact that Crawford dismantled a fighter of Canelo's caliber so completely cements him as one of the sport's greatest tactical minds.
Effect because it wasn't working. Or they were like, threatened in some kind of way. It was fucking Canelo. Canelo had some good punches in this fight. I thought early on that left hook to the body, which he got away from in the middle parts of the fight, got back to it a little bit at the end. But again, he was catching and shooting was a big part of why that went away. Bud was like, bop, catching him for it. Several times he hit him with that. Canelo had a decent jab at times. That right hand was able to catch Bud cleanly a couple of times, but not really. Bud's face looked normal, fine. You would never have known he went 12 rounds. Remarkable beyond words, man. Remarkable. That is so, I fucking hope and pray that everyone who is I don't know what the casuals are going to say. I really don't. But for the real fight fans, the ones who are probably watching the stream, I hope you appreciate what you just took a look at. Daring to be great. Daring to do what people just basically, people have unified, or I should say, I've gone undisputed in 3-weight classes before, but it's exceedingly rare, right? And to go up such a fucking jump. And let's go over one more thing if we can here for just a moment. One of the things that Bud has been trying to argue is that the boxing establishment has overlooked him. He was never their darling. He was never the guy that they picked. He was never the one that they chose ahead of time and was like, we're going to anoint you as our figure. He was never that guy, that was not him. And beating Spence got him a pretty far way in terms of changing attitudes, but Canelo was the big one because Canelo was that guy. Now Canelo of course earned everything he's gotten too. That's not the point. But what I'm trying to say is Canelo was the promotional darling. Hello, the face of boxing. You know what I mean? And not just the face of boxing in this country, the face of boxing in another country. Dude, this motherfucker was the face of boxing worldwide, but in particular in North America, right? And something of a promotional darling and always the A side and this, that, and the other. And that was not Crawford's journey, man. That was not Crawford's, he was fighting the Ricky Burns of the world. That was not his trajectory.
Oladipo took a practical view of Crawford's triumph. pointing out that he has already checked every box the sport demands. From becoming undisputed in multiple divisions to defeating Canelo Alvarez, there is nothing left to question. Because of this, Oladipo doesn't see a rematch as realistic or even necessary, since Canelo no longer appears to belong in the same ring with Crawford. In his eyes, forcing another showdown would highlight decline, not greatness, and do little for boxing. Still, he acknowledged that David Benavidez presents a massive, dangerous challenge, even bigger than Canelo, if Crawford wants to continue proving himself. Yet Oladipo concluded, Crawford has already done more than enough, and his greatness is secure regardless of whether that fight happens.
The perfect opponent. Benavidez is the complete opposite. Benavidez is massive for 168 pounds, hence why the 175 jump isn't even a jump. It's normal for him. And he's coming not at the end of his career, he's coming into the peak of his career. So, I don't know, man. If Crawford were to take that one, geez, I mean, this guy's got balls of steel. Balls of steel. Is that financially the biggest fight out there for him? Probably. Especially if Benavidez puts a beating on Yard. I mean, you sell it more. It's another crossover Mexican Mexican-American, African-American. Those things always sell well.
Another analyst zeroed in on the technical brilliance that made Crawford's victory unforgettable. He described Crawford's ring movement as graceful yet calculated, giving him control of the pace from the opening bell. His use of angles trapped Canelo in uncomfortable positions, stripping away his usual ability to throw combinations effectively. The jab, delivered with perfect timing, became a weapon of disruption that broke Canelo's rhythm and set up sharp counters. Every move was deliberate, designed to dismantle Canelo's strategy piece by piece. The analyst admitted few experts expected such a dominant technical performance, especially with the size disadvantage. For him, this wasn't just a win, it was a masterclass in fundamentals and ring IQ that will be studied for generations.
Wrong against Crawford. I don't know if there was a rematch clause in that fight. I guess there probably would have been. I mean, if you are undisputed at 168 pounds, I think you'd be stupid not to put a rematch clause in there. So look, he might go back to the drawing board, go back to his camp and say, can we beat Crawford? Like, have an honest conversation with Eddie Reynoso and the other trainers in that camp and say, can we beat him? And if we can, where did we go wrong? Can we fix it in time to get in the ring with him again in 7 or 8 months? And if Eddie says no, then there has to be a real conversation of, okay, what's the point then? What's the point? What else is out there? Like, it's been so long that Canelo's not fought for a world title. It's even weird for me to even think about Canelo fighting and it not being for a world title.
Others in the boxing world highlighted how Crawford's mindset separated him from his peers. They argued that it wasn't only his skills but his willingness to chase risks and embrace challenges that made this victory historic. Many fighters, including Mayweather, built legacies on dominance within safe limits, but Crawford shattered barriers by taking on Canelo at 168. This mindset of seeking the impossible is what redefines him as not just great, but legendary. In their view, Crawford's hunger to cement his name in history through bold moves and then delivering when the world doubted him proves his greatness beyond any single opponent.
That really surprised a lot of people. But in the same time, the pivots, the angles, he really didn't just move all the way around the ring. I think he did almost anything that he wanted to do in there, right? Yeah, there was lots of rounds that were like in the bank early, so he didn't really, mix it up. But there was certain points in the fight that he was trying to get Canelo out of there. And wow, it was amazing to see, what all these other guys were able to do with Canelo. And Terence Crawford does something completely different. Beats him way better than Mayweather ever did. Beats him way better than Bivol ever did. He took his soul in the ring. He had no idea what to do.
Finally, several commentators noted the long-term significance of Crawford's triumph. They believe this fight will stand as a turning point in boxing history, where the definition of greatness evolved. No longer is it enough to dominate one division or remain undefeated against smaller risks. Crawford's victory over Canelo represents a new standard, daring to climb divisions, face the biggest challenges, and still dominate. For fans and historians alike, this moment will be remembered not just as Crawford's greatest win, but as a fight that reshaped how boxing measures true greatness. In that sense, his victory didn't just crown him GOAT, it redefined what the GOAT standard means.
Defense was on point. He was seeing shots come. And one of the biggest factors I said, listen, the way Terence Crawford catches his shots on the glove is top tier. And I was really nervous at the fact that, you know what, how is his body frame going to be able to, take it? And when he caught some of those shots and he was so planted, Canelo moved after his shot versus him. And I said, Terence Crawford's like a tree trunk when it comes to catching some of these shots. He's very prepared, and you don't even know how like calm and collective you need to be able to take, catch those shots. So salute to Terence Crawford. I think that Canelo Alvarez didn't even win a round, man. It was that much of a whooping.
Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe and like this video, and stay tuned for more like this.